Okay, here it goes. Hot take. I've been sitting on this. Today is the day after the No Kings March, and I would just like to say that you're showing your character. You are showing your character. Uh, what's done in the dark? I mean, okay, so hot button. We're gonna press the hot button. Uh, yeah, here is my take on the LGBTQ plus LMNOP QRS TUVWXYYXXYYZ. I intentionally strung that along because that's exactly how it feels like. Um, this is a very complex issue. Now, the Bible says, "Do not teach homosexuality. Don't go out there and preach it." Uh, I believe that's Paul. That's one of Paul's teachings. Jesus never mentions it. Um, and it's not mentioned a lot, but it is seen as, you know, a sensual sin, right? A sexual sin. You miss the mark if you are homosexual or any of the other. And that's because the Bible places an emphasis on procreation, creating life through sex. It is not that it prohibits sex, it just doesn't support homosexuality. Um, so yeah. And homosexuality is not a way to create life. Like, that is the main purpose for sex, right? And so if you you don't do that, you are missing out on some aspect of life. Basically, it's not that you're necessarily damned to hell, uh, as like the fire and brimstone old Baptist preachers would like to say, uh, but it misses the mark because it is hedonistic in nature. Right, it is pleasure above uh, the natural way. Uh, because man, I say man, the species Homo sapien, as science would say we are classified as, uh, we are born male and female. We do not naturally transition in between genders. So, uh, the Bible makes that very clear. Now, there are eunuchs, as I have talked about previously, and basically what happens if you were to remove the testicles of a boy, of a prepubescent boy, somebody that has not gone through puberty. If you remove those, they will develop gyneclomastia as they are older, because they do not produce testosterone, and they will still produce a low amount of estrogen, right? Not more, not like a woman would, less than a woman, but they would still have more estrogen and therefore more womanly qualities uh, in their sex. Right. So I'm not saying that there is not a gray area that is not well defined. I do know of the rare instances that it occurs, but it's a, it's generally naturally. I'm gonna get to that part later. Naturally, it is generally not common, and I personally believe that people should be treated with respect, no matter where they come from, and no matter who they are, because life is intrinsically important to God. Uh, I don't necessarily think uh, being gay should be illegal by any means. We'll just call it the alternate sexuality instead of that big old long name. We'll just call it the alt sex instead of I'm not really going to defend that either. I'm not going to insist that you die, but because there are natural anomalies that occur, and those people should be treated with respect. I I think the sexuality topic of the alt sex is blown way out of proportion to how much it truly matters in this world. Um, I do see it as a negative life choice being in the alt sex, because it does not produce babies. And I think that's important. I just think that's important. Uh, like you can't you can't have a nation without without children. like, I don't know how else to describe it. Uh, so that's my opinion on the matter, and I also have an opinion that could be explored more. A hypothesis, not a theory. This is a hypothesis, and that is that enemy nations have implanted uh, a gay agenda, a sissification, a toddlerification of America of men, and a masculinization of women. Like they are trying to flip the roles within our society, our republic, our democratic republic. Um, in the literature of communism, uh, these people are known as useful idiots. The people that give a message that leads to death, because that's what the sexuality leads to, right? If you never procreate, it leads to death. Does this make sense? If you do not produce a baby, your lineage will not continue. Okay. Um, this would be called the gay agenda. And you know that there are these very high pay or highly funded parades in these large metropolitan cities, and the word that they use is pride, right? And that's a very ironic word because pride goes before the fall. At least that's what Christians know. So you are leading yourself to death and you are proud about it. This is what goes through the mind of the average Christian whenever they think about gay pride. Um, it's not a matter of uh, arguing with them, but it is a uh, clear, understood doctrine that is taught. And it's there for good reason. Because without it, society does not continue. There's a reason why these sets of rules are seen as good. Now, what is good is hard to do, and what is easy is usually bad. Not all the time. Easy can be good. It's just a figure of speech. You know, it's easy to be lazy and it's hard to do work. That type of uh, framework. Um, and so I would even lump in like third wave feminism into this alt sex because again it is uh, mascu- masculinizate masculinizing women, and I think that's damaging to our society. Um, there is a lack of order because of it. There is more chaos within our society because of it. Um, Now, again, should women have these, uh, like all of the rights as a man? I believe so. I believe they should work if they want to work, and I believe they should be able to stay home if they want to stay home. Uh, and they should be able to vote, and they should be able to go to school. They should be afforded every right that a man is afforded. But that's the masculinization of women. That can be a whole nother video of third wave feminism and uh, like things like abortion. That will be a whole nother video. Which, if you're aborting all of your babies, how are you going to have a society? Um, yeah, I think there are very predatory and grooming uh, behaviors from the alt sex because they cannot self reproduce. They have to uh, parasitically attach onto a host, pretty much. Uh, and I think it's perverted. I think it's a perverted way of sexuality. God intended it for it to be male and female, and God intended uh, it to create babies. It's a very logical way of thinking about it. Now, again, I don't necessarily think that like something in Sodom and Gomorrah were destroyed because people were gay. I think it was because they were not being kind. So I think there is uh, a difference between being gay and what the alt sex purports as gay. They like to make the image of a very sissified and toddlerified, like very creepy associations to this alt sex community, and I think it's very damaging. Uh, we want our men to be men, and we want our women to be women, and the damage that it has on our society is clearly evident. Uh, it is very abhorrent, very very base, very base, base level, not base, not based, but very low levels of intelligence. I think that's what these uh, ideologies create. They focus on hedonism and sensuality. And anybody that knows anything about spirituality uh, knows that there's more to this world than what is in the 3D, right? You know, we get a microscope and we can detect an atom. So, you know, I equate it to the drug trade. They are selling you this idea that this drug or this sexuality will make you better and make you feel good, right? Um, and then they go and spread it because they want somebody to be like them, but they're bringing them down. Uh, and so it's like a mind virus that infects the vulnerable. And I think it's very dangerous that schools are teaching this because they are sissifying men and they are masculinizing women. The gender bender. Why would they do this? Well, because it makes the United States as a nation weak. If your women are stronger than your men, you can be easily taken over. uh, and if you have ever talked to anybody that is a part of the alt sex, um, the alternative sex, how was their behavior? Because my experiences with people of the alternative sex or gender or sexuality, whatever you want to call it, is that they are very pushy with their alternative sex ideas. What are your experiences with them? I think that's very overstepping boundaries, in my opinion, whenever it happens. I think it's very inconsiderate whenever it happens. But yeah, I would write down in the comments on your experiences with the alternative sex. And I'm not saying that every experience uh, with them is like that. I have met trans transgender people that are very respectable, uh, kind people, and there was no mention of the matter. And I have met gay people try to hit on me, and I don't take I don't want that kind of attention. Does that make sense? Uh, after I've never had them be too forceful, nothing like that. But it's concerning, and it's not homophobia. I just don't want to be hit on by a dude. Does that make sense? And I've had respectable relationships with other gays where the issue doesn't even pop up. Does that make sense? So I don't want to say that gays are evil, but it is missing the mark in my eyes. Now, now, is anybody perfect? No. So that's why I don't really see it as something to burn down. If you are a gay person, just be a respectable, humble person, and I believe you will find much more acceptance in society, rather the flagrant uh, brandishing of your sexuality that occurs today. Um, I would defend your right to be gay, but I'm not going to encourage anybody to be gay. Does that make sense? See, I think that is a healthy level of separation of church and state. uh, the state it should not be illegal to be gay based on religious beliefs. Okay. Uh, I do also want to talk about the issue of like STDs. So STDs among the gay community has always been an issue because they are so open about sex. Now, not every alternative sex person is like this. Some of them have traditional relationships that are, monogamous in that manner, and some of them like to like be swingers and have orgies, things of that nature. Um, have multiple sexual partners, and this causes a rise in STD transmission. I mean, the AIDS epidemic was a big fiasco. Just pointing to one. Uh, and so, this alternative sex also encourages non-monogamous sexual relationships, like uh, polyamory to an extent, and I don't think that's healthy. Um, to not have a continuous uh, community around you. Does that make sense? I don't think it's something that you should identify with in a strong manner. The way I see it is you're either gay or you're not. Like, and who cares as long as you don't bother anybody else about it. It's almost like you're either black or you're white, and who cares? Like, that's how little I see this situation, but it is blown out of proportion. It should be a far thing down low on your priorities. It shouldn't, like, and I base this off of my own feelings. Like in the grand scheme of things, it matters very little. Uh, I also know that the Bible doesn't talk about it very much. It says that you shouldn't be gay, and then it expounds upon what a good marriage looks like. Um, yeah, but like somebody like Alan Turing, who was a gay British man, he broke the Enigma code that let us win World War II. So, like, who cares? What people want is for it not to be flaunted in your face. Like, I don't want to go down walking I don't want to go walking down the street and see a rainbow colored flag like a parade. Like, I don't want to see that. Like, it's not something I want to see. Like, it's gay. Like, oh, that's why we don't necessarily have gay a gay pride parade in the community surrounding me. Like, there's not one. I don't even know if there's one in Dallas. So Austin might have one. But that's the thing, like, you notice that the cities that have this gay pride, they're not doing too hot, dude. So let it be an indication of a negative association. Uh, I do believe that there is forgiveness. Uh, and I hope you look into what the Bible has to say. Now, there is like this sort of transgender idea written in the Bible. Like, there's aspects of whenever Jesus comes back, we are the bride. So there is a transgender idea that you want to pick at. I think something like that is a healthy use of this obsession of transgenderism and mutilation. We should stop that and, talk about the transgender phenomenon of the church being Jesus's bride. Pick it that way. I know traditional Christians do not want to talk about it because it is such a sensitive subject. They don't want to be taken out of context and misconstrued. Um, but who better to hear this subject than from somebody that came from that world? If you are interested in Jesus Christ, look into that. I don't think you're evil if you are alt sex. I just want to say that. I think you're human and that there's forgiveness in Christ. I think this is going to be my last point. Um, if you did not know, there is an epidemic of amphetamine usage in the gay community. There just is. So it does not seem to be associated with pretty much anything positive. Uh, their messages of loving yourself, the age of the self, right? This seems like with this alt sex ideology, it seems to be some sort of age of the self. Like it is so uh, ubiquitous among the left side of politics. Uh, and it is associated with STDs and amphetamine usage. Look it up. Go check out the statistics. I think there are statistics on this. So pretty much there are many different signals that point to this lifestyle leading into a bad direction. I think that is due cause to question it, to fairly question it, and to keep an open mind about whether or not it is a good or bad lifestyle. Now again, I cannot say who you are, and I don't have to understand you. And that's all okay. You don't have to understand me. Just as long as we listen to each other. I think that's important. To know where we both come from. Very important. Um yeah, if there is a decline in the number of families, the unit that creates the next generation, then the next generation will be far weaker. We need our men to be men and our women to be women, and uh, they are like that because they play into each other's strong suits. You know, uh, the roles that are traditionally set are there because that's what each role is good for. Um, it brings out the best of both sides. And whenever you try to flip that around, you create an imbalance. Okay, like, comment, and subscribe. Hot take, I know. Uh, yeah, I see this gay agenda. Look that up. Look up the gay agenda. And just understand its damages to society. Whether or not it is messages sent over like as a psychological operation to weaken the American people or not. Uh, the damages that it does is evident. Okay. Uh, yeah, share this. Love your neighbor. We can't get nowhere if you don't love your dang old neighbor. Uh, we got ourselves a pretty good neighbor, and we tend to swap out produce. Sometimes they'll give us some chicken eggs, and sometimes we'll give them some vegetables. You know, things like that, dude, just important. Um, just simple things that show goodwill toward each other go a long way. All right. I think I've repeated myself a couple of times, but that's okay. Have a good one. Bye. And God bless.